We don't stop when it's game time. We don't flop. We don't stop when it's game time. We don't flop. We don't stop when it's game time. We don't. You're now tuned into the Detail Did It podcast. Come catch a fade.
Oh, what that? Some kind of weed or something? God damn, boy.
Oh, that's fine.
Hey, Eddie Murphy coming to
That's good stuff. So that right there is back to, we do this every other day, the reality portion of the Realty and Reality show.
Yes, sir. That's reality, right?
There was a dose of reality.
What movie was that?
That was I don't know. You said Coming to America. I haven't heard part
That's
of it.
what it was.
I had these dang headphones around and things. Actually, something crazy.
What you had that on the Bible portion?
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Realty and Reality show with Mr.
The
Tank. Cool. And myself, Patrick Hammonds. Today we got a great show for you. We're going to go our usual path or route that we choose to go, which is wherever my ADD takes me and whatever Chad's willing to put up with. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and kick this off with our typical opening, which is to talk about some current events. We always skim the surface because that's just, you don't get lost in the weeds in some of these things, right? The world is a ridiculous place at times. And I got to tell you, if you didn't laugh about it every single day, you might just cry. So with that said, I'm going to act like I know something. And let's talk about Britain real quick. So I was listening this morning to Reuters News, give them a little shout out, Reuters. And it sounds like Britain may be exiting the European Union. Okay. This is all in conjunction with that Brexit. And yet their parliament they're at a standstill. So it sounds like Britain is just like America. Congress cannot make a move on anything. So, I don't know if that's good to see. Misery loves company or what. Yet people need to get some things together because there's a lot of things going on in this world that are hurting because these governments can't get it together. Yeah, can't get it together. So we have a special guest on the show. Usually we bring a guest in a little bit later, and yet our guest today is in finance. He is a lender. He understands loans. He understands the market. He's been in the game for so long. So part of this Britain, Brexit, all that stuff. Mark, do you have any info on this?
I've been watching it the same as everybody else for the last couple of years. I was shocked when they voted to leave the European Union, and now I'm shocked that they're down to it and they can't figure out for sure whether they want to or did they make a mistake. And it's a little late in the game.
It's a cold world out there.
It is.
Yeah. So people are just so indecisive, and it's funny that you vote on something and then don't follow through. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion one way or another, but I think the whole European Union is in trouble because of it. If one of them isn't in it, it's not really going to work.
It pretty much shuts it down. I mean, I guess they have their own islands, so it's almost like it's insulated in a sense. And yet, you're right; it's gonna trickle right over that English Channel. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, good to know. And next, also for those of you that have been enjoying this beautiful and yet my girlfriend calls it Decepticon weather. You look out the window and it's sunny and bright, not a cloud in the sky, and you walk out and it is freezing.
So we got on bipolar yesterday, right?
Yeah,
so
bipolar weather. We'll call
that's what we call it today.
Decepticon.
One day it's 70, the next day it's 30.
Or it's 30 and 70 in the same day. Yeah. However, today, guys, it's going to be 45 for our low. And then
what are the highs?
53. Wait for it. With potential showers.
No!
I just watched my car yesterday. Schools, roads, life. In San Antonio, like if a water drop somebody skirts out, climax, car pile up.
Go to HEB, get your loaves of bread, your gallons of water.
Exactly. Well, like the hurricane that hits San
Antonio. Let's cause our own pain.
Let's do that. And so, speaking of mass hysteria, Super Bowl's coming up.
True.
And but
the Dallas Cowboys ain't in it anymore, so it doesn't really matter, right?
I mean, were they ever in
it? They are.
I don't want to get murdered here in this town. However, were they ever really in it?
Oh, Patrick, don't hate. Come on,
hey, I'm a congratulator. Can't we all agree everybody has a good time on the field? No.
Everybody's
participation trophy. Now the Cowboys are a great team, and I consistently hit those playoffs. Consistently. Yeah, we're here. They've done it. They do it consistently.
They're doing good on their one game, man.
It's tough to be Cowboys. My dad's a Cowboys fan. He's a whole Cowboys cave, and I'm just like, I don't know how you haven't taken your own life yet. But anyhow, moving on. So speaking of the Super
Super
Bowl
Bowl.
halftime show, so this one's very interesting. So as you guys may or may not know, there are many artists that are boycotting participating with the NFL due to the fact that they have been fining players that are choosing to kneel and exercise, what I consider your American right, whether I agree with it or not, it's another story. However, that is their right. This is America. You can do that. And so a lot of artists aren't participating yet. Maroon 5 signed on for all of the right reasons. Money, and fame, and also a little bit more money. And then they're going to be performing alongside Travis Scott and Big Boy. Now, what really hit me when I heard this, I was like, this is just amazing because with all these artists boycotting it, I mean, Rihanna said no, Jay-Z, Beyonce say no, everybody says no.
Yeah,
and so what Travis Scott did is he said, I would say no. However, if you choose to donate $500,000 to a charity of my choice, Dream Corps, it's an organization that helps empower lives and build people up and get them from one place to another, often like a coach.
Yeah.
Like a coach. And so I thought that was pretty big. And then he's getting paid big bucks in addition to the $500,000.
In addition.
so that's what is good because the artists do have influence on the world and on perspective. And so I'm just glad that he's going to get in there, do that, not let other people's opinions hinder himself or sabotage himself from success. And so he found a way to do that. I love
Or something bigger than himself.
Yeah,
Make a positive impact.
Right.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And then lastly, and that's February 3rd, everybody. Super Bowl is February 3rd. For those of you that tune in just to watch the halftime show, now you know who's performing. Some of the biggest artists.
What is your favorite halftime or Super Bowl commercial? Guys, and you guys tuned in too if you're watching live. Give us a favorite Super Bowl commercial.
I don't remember what I ate for breakfast. How am I supposed to remember my favorite Super Bowl commercial? I know that they all have me laughing, and that's my primary purpose for watching them when I don't have a stake in the game or skin in the game.
Right.
Gosh, I don't know. What's your favorite?
So many.
I still like the old Budweiser ones.
I was gonna go with. You can never go wrong with the Budweiser commercial.
Yeah,
they never go wrong.
And it's funny is I actually enjoy commercials now. More than I oftentimes enjoy the show I'm watching. Like they go all out on them. Those progressive commercials and the guy getting older just because he got saved on the car.
It's a DVR. They have to be more creative and find a way to entertain you.
Yes. And so anyhow, commercials are actually better than the shows. They're like a whole production. They have you laugh, in and out, 15 seconds, and I'm good. I feel like I'm satisfied. So we'll jump into some builder stuff here too. Imagine. As far as what's on the ground, if you want to.
So I hit on that yesterday. As far as what's on the ground, obviously there's tons of inventory on the ground out San Antonio. There's multiple builders that are pushing this in, pushing promotions and things of that nature. But again, since I'm with Perry Homes here in Callison Ranch, down 1604 in Labor, we have well over 30 inventory right there in that one given community. So if you need any assistance, I'm here.
And what I think we need to do, I'm just going to throw a quick question out here. Whoever wants to respond, reply, whatever, get in there. Builder Boost, San Antonio, the builder organization. We work with you guys. The builders work with you guys. If you guys could reach out to me at 210-538-8377 or 210-319-0569. I'd love to hear from you guys on what's the inventory looking like citywide. As a whole, so we can get that grip. And then I'll give you guys the realtor update as of this morning. Just for the market. It's very interesting because people say there's no business. There's no business. And yet, let me tell you these numbers. Since yesterday, okay? Nice. Within the last few days. Let's get it. It's the same in my market updates. You guys know my market updates. They're like pretty much accurate. So within the last few days, 128 new homes came on the market for sale. Okay, so a lot of people say there's no inventory. 128 new ones came on. Now, with that said, 160 lowered their price. Okay, so add those together. What is that? 288. So there's 288 more homes to buy. 84 sold.
Okay.
So that's good news for our economy. The average of 60K gets pumped in the economy roughly, just from all the people that get involved in sale. Now, 14 listings expired. So I know 14 phone numbers that get called today by me. Because I'm the agent for the job. And then the hot list, 1347. So 1,347 homes that are on the hot list. Ready to go. Great homes. So that already, we're looking at over 1,600 homes that are just immediately available with just new information. That is not what's actively listed on the market, nor your inventory that you just mentioned, or the rest of the builders for that matter. And then, of course, 120 pending sales as of right now.
I hear it all the time. I can't get any leads. I can't get any leads. There's no business out here. The market is slowing down. I've always been a believer, like, man, go out and get it and create your own market, right? Because it's not going to come. It's not going to come to you. In my business, the perception of on-site, we're known as on-site sales counsel. You sit in the model. We do not sit in the model all day. And guests do not just walk through the door. We have to get out there and prospect the same as a Patric, the same as any other realtor in San Antonio. So when I hear those things, all I hear is excuses.
That's it, yeah. Excuses.
Everyone has excuses. You can't be successful. This is still one of the hottest markets in the state of Texas, actually in the U.S. So if you're not making it happen, that's just an excuse.
And what's interesting is that applies to all of life. Business, real estate, any of it. If you're not making it happen, what you're doing is that you're not making it happen. This is America, and for that matter, this is the world. If you really want something, you will make it happen. It's not that hard. If things slow down, then you speed up. You work quite hard. If you can't find leads, well, what are you doing differently? But oftentimes in coaching, there's a question that I ask a lot of my clients or people that share is, well, what are you not doing right now in your business that you know damn well that you should be doing, that if you did it, it would just dramatically change the way you do business.
You believe, as an entrepreneur, you believe you have to reevaluate your business, right, on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. And so let's find out so if you had a successful week or a successful month, let's recap on that month, figure out what it is that we did right, most importantly, what it is that we did wrong, or something that we could probably improve on our process overall.
Absolutely.
So I think you always have to be reevaluating your business as well as re-evolving. So that's definitely important. If you don't have your goals lined out, you're kind of missing the ball.
It's interesting you said your goals lined up. I very literally this morning just posted, remember, learn from yesterday, seize today, and plan for tomorrow. And that's exactly what you just said. And so a lot of us men, especially, we talked about this the other day, it's like a negative connotation when we're talking about journaling or diary, whatever you want to call it. Write it down. This is just historical data, whether it be about your emotions, about your business, or whatever. That way you can go back and reflect. You can say, like you said, a successful month, cool, what did I do? Let's make sure I keep doing that. And what can I add to that? Yeah. And then also a bad month or less than stellar month, whatever you want to.
I really believe if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right?
Exactly.
So
on Monday, right?
2018 seemed to be a little bit of a down year. And, everybody's predicting that 19 is not going to be good. But, I think in San Antonio, we're kind of isolated. We have had just an absolutely tremendous run-up from back in the 2000s. And I saw a report a couple months ago that said that there's 500 people a week moving to San Antonio.
Whoa.
So you can't have that kind of growth and not have opportunities out there. And anybody who's sitting on the sidelines is doing just that. They're sitting on the sidelines. You just have to pick up the phone and people will call you back.
Just sitting on your hands. Yes. It's funny. I teach this stuff, live this stuff, do this stuff, and I'm a human too. Despite, popular belief, I am a human. And I make those. I do the same thing. I get to a success cycle. I get going, and then I kind of just it fades off, and then I'm sitting around asking myself the question I just asked a second ago, and I'm like, oh, what should we do differently? Stop sitting on my hands.
Activity breeds activity.
It does. It just. They say luck tends to favor those in motion. And it's like, is it really luck? It's not. That's the whole saying is it favors those emotions because they're taking action.
Right.
So nobody's lucky. They're just making it happen. God doesn't shine favor on anybody.
If you want to win, audit your actions.
God helps those who help them.
Thank you.
We're throwing other phrases out.
I'm a newer to the church Christian, by the way. So
some real good stuff.
If you guys hear me quote the Bible,
you got one for us.
And do your best to God.
And much like that eagle's nest I was talking about. Now, by the way, just for the record, that was completely taken into the heart from my the bishop this Sunday at church. And so the eagles and the eagles and the discomfort, pushing everybody out. And it's the same thing with God. I'm not turning this into God talking. However, it's just interesting because when you take that action, that's usually God. Or when things that you said 2018 wasn't great, a lot of people say that. That's typically God. So a lot of people like to equate that to the devil and say, oh, the devil's making my life bad. He's making my life bad. No. God's making your life uncomfortable so that you can realize that you're not comfortable, and so you can take action and move and go do something with yourself. It's not the devil. It's the
And I
Lord.
love the story of the eagle. You need to tell it.
Yeah, let me say that to the rest of y'all. So what I had learned this weekend is that the baby eagles, in order to fly, in order to soar, with the rest, basically what we're going to equate this to right now are us humans, and then those that want to achieve flying with the 1%ers or the 3%ers or just be better than we are today, tomorrow. So what the eagle does is they have a nice, beautiful, comfortable nest. Babies are getting raised, they're growing up, mom's, feeding like a bird. That was a bird.
What is that?
And then when it's time for them to fly, though, of course, they're not ready. They're comfortable. Who wants to leave comfort? Not very many people. Yet on the other side of that discomfort is everything you ever desired, flying. And so the mom takes the little pieces of the nest and begins to move it around, make it uncomfortable, discomfort completely, turns it inside out eventually, and then she's kind of pushes them out. They fall down straight to the ground, much like we discussed yesterday, the wings coming out, and then their wings, there you have them, my goodness. And they start flopping them, and they fly.
You better figure it out.
I love that story.
It's amazing. And that's what our life is about, and that's how one becomes successful. And I think that's really I think everything is awesome. But I think that's a perfect segue right into our special guest, Mark Harris. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I feel like if you pushed out of a nest, you jumped over a cliff into an industry that can be tumultuous, if you will, a roller coaster. What makes you? Why are you doing this?
Well, I guess we have to go back to the beginning. I was born back at, that may be a little too good. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And, I've come to realize after doing this for so long, nobody, I want to be a mortgage guy, or I want to be a real. I haven't met anybody. Yeah. I got into it by mistake, and when I got into mortgage, it was like the wild west days. Oh yeah, it was crazy back in like in the early 2000s. That story about like they would fog, if you could fog a mirror. It was really kind of true. I mean, it was, and like back then, it was like everybody just got an adjustable rate mortgage. Nobody cared about anything, and the party was going to last forever. And in 2000. And the mortgage industry kind of broke the world. It was a terrible time, but it was necessary. It kind of shook out a lot in business and kind of made things happen. So we've seen the interest rates be really low for a really long period of time, and everybody asks me, because I've been doing mortgages for so long, are they going to go up? Are they going to go down? What's going on? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure they're either going up or they're going to go down. That's my prediction.
And it's a pretty safe prediction.
Yeah, wait. But it's. I know it sounds kind of corny, but I've been doing it for a long time, and I love what I do. I get to help people achieve the American dream every single day. It's a true blessing. So I look forward to work every day. I really do, and I love it.
That's awesome. So you just happened into it.
By mistake, like everybody else. Yeah.
This is one of those industries. I mean, really, truly, as far as dream jobs go and things that aspire to. Yeah, you don't grow up as a kid like, I'm going to sell homes.
Yeah. No, most kids like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a police officer. Nobody said, give me a mortgage calculator. I got this.
Where's my super key, please?
So Mark.
No. We step on each other's toes.
Yeah, no. Fight it out. Don't be good.
Okay.
Hey, so with you, obviously you say you've been 20 years. Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And all of that's been in San Antonio?
Yes.
What kind of changes from just last year to this year? Because things are changing, I mean, on a consistent basis, especially with all the changes in government and things of that nature. What kind of changes are you seeing just in San Antonio's market since you've been?
In San Antonio, I mean, just since I've been here, in the last year, I mean, property values have been going up, and obviously interest rates have gone up as well. So it's slowed a little bit of the production and the drive. Some buyers have kind of exited the market, I think, because rates have gone up. And I think a lot of people are shocked, because especially the younger generation. They're like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "What's rates doing?" I said, "You know, 5 is a great rate." They're like, "What? What happened to 3?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, yeah." I said, "Well, you know, that's you know, it's been really low for a really long period of time. The government artificially kept rates low to stimulate the economy.
Mm-hmm.
They had to start raising the overnight Fed funds rate. And everybody's screaming and hollering about it. But if we don't, you know, hyperinflation is a reality, and we literally had to start raising those rates.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. And as we see rates go up, it dramatically affects what people can qualify for.
Right.
So, you know, I don't think it's going to, you know, a lot of people are like, well, you know, if rates get to 8%, 9%, I don't think it's if, I think it's when. Right? Because it's, I mean, historically, 7.5 is so, you know, what will happen is, instead of buying a $340,000 house, they'll buy a $280,000 house.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, you think about it, in the 70s and 80s, rates got to 18, 20%.
Yeah. They're still buying.
And people still bought, they just bought $50,000 homes back then.
Right.
Right.
And so that, I mean, that, and we talked about it briefly, maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Housing affordability. That's kind of what we're starting to see. Affordable housing, what's going to be more affordable, because as material costs goes up, price increases go up in the market,
Absolutely.
right? And you also have rising interest rates. It kind of, you have to kind of almost reevaluate the location, because location, you have different property taxes depending on where you choose to purchase your home.
Sure.
So with all these things kind of increasing the playing factor, I mean, that is true. I mean, we have to kind of start looking at lower price homes, or homes that are $150,000 if we ever get there.
Yeah,
but,
probably.
Right,
but if you have a $150,000 house for sale, put it on the market.
Put it on the market, it will sell overnight. Right.
Gone.
That's about the power of the interest rate. I know we both had kind of that same question. Talk about the power of the interest rate in correlation with price increases, credit scores. How does that play a factor in somebody's life?
You know, I after having done this for a really, really long time, I really and truly believe that anybody who wants to buy a house can buy a house. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I really and truly believe that, and I don't think it's really asking that much. I mean, you know, I went to the, you know, what I call the corny side. I love what I do, but you know, I don't think it's too much to ask to have, you know, 4 walls and a piece of brick to call your own. I mean, it really and truly is the American dream. You know, we're gonna live, we're gonna die. Why not do it in a house of your own?
It's also kind of like one of the survivalist things too: food, clothing, shelter.
It's kind of high up on the list. It really is. But you know, we've seen that the property values have gone up, and I've seen here lately a lot of people are, you know, they're coming out with the lower scores.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they have like a 600 or a 610, 620 FICO score, and there literally is a mortgage. I mean, if you're under 580, you really got to get your scores up to be able to buy. But a lot of people, you know what, I'm going to go work on my credit score for a year, and I'll come back when I have a 680 FICO score. And I'm like, well, wait, hold on. If rates are around the 5s now, and you come back a year when rates are 8%, you know, you're going to lose any benefit that you would get from your scores being higher.
Right.
So I always think the best time to buy, regardless of your score, if you have at least a 600, the best time to buy is today. Right?
There's no better moment than the
I
present.
think it's a mistake to think that you're going to go off score, then come back and buy a house. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, no, you just need to pull the trigger when there. It's the same thing I say it to clients all the time, and I can be wrong for this, and yet feel free to straighten me out. Right? It's not about the price of the house. It's about the monthly mortgage payment.
There's 2 things that matter when you buy a home. How much do I have to bring to closing, and how much is my monthly payment? Because you can have a higher or lower interest rate, but sometimes the mortgage insurance could be considerably higher or lower. I did a loan yesterday for somebody who cannot go FHA. They have to go conventional. They have a lower credit, a home conventional with a 620 credit score. People don't realize that, right? The rate's going to be higher, and the mortgage insurance will kick you in the teeth, right? So sometimes a higher rate doesn't necessarily equate to a lower payment. So I agree with you 100%.
Patrick, now you've been in real estate, so I got into the industry in 2014. Knew nothing about selling real estate, but during that time, and this is in 2014, it's something that I've noticed changing in the questions that we asked was people were shopping for price per square footage at that time.
Oh, that's
Is that an accurate statement? So
you notice my side.
I'm assuming that 2014 or younger, right? They were shopping for price per square footage, and then it went to strictly price, and then it went to now we have to ask the question, what can you monthly afford?
Right.
So is that a true statement that you've seen?
So back to that price per square footage, the long side that I let out is, I have conversations with appraisers all the time. I have conversations with clients all the time. And maybe this is an opinion. It's not against the fact, let's say. It's just,
I got it from Facebook.
the thing is
It must be real.
square footage out of what you desire for your home, for your belongings, the contents to fit within your home. Square footage is super irrelevant. Like price per square foot means nada, especially when it comes to an appraiser too, because somebody
They
might
will
buy a
laugh
house.
at you. They may slap you if you start bringing up price per square
They
foot.
want to slap you through the phone. Because a lot of agents don't know that and they don't realize that. So they'll find a house that's similar to the other house, and then they'll go, well, that one sold for $100 a square foot.
So I'll just multiply mine times that.
Yeah,
There you go.
mine's 200 square feet bigger, so that's my price.
There's
That's
so
not
many
how it works.
there's so many variables. And if you talk to a real appraiser, here's what they're going to say: a house is worth what a seller is willing to sell it for, and a buyer is willing to buy it for. And then if I can find a comparable that kind of matches it, that's what that house is
They're
worth.
not out to get you.
But you're right. There's so many variables. You got a 1-story, you have 2-story, you have does it at the swimming pool. Now here's something we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, which is a huge anomaly that they've thrown into it, and they never used to give value for it, which is solar.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So for several years, if you had solar panels, that was something that it was up to you.
I just sold my house and I actually got value for it.
And now we're starting to see that with solar panels, they are starting to add value for solar
I
panels.
still walked away with no money.
Yeah, but it is a thing of value, so they've started adding value to it.
Who's chatting with us?
I was trying to see.
What's up,
Hey, what's
Daniel?
up, what's up,
Question?
what's up? Yeah.
Boston, how you doing?
Any of you got questions? I mean, we have Mark. Mark is very knowledgeable. I'm going to say he knows it all. He might have missed it all. No,
Yes,
I'm just
my
playing.
wife, I know
But-
nothing.
But I'm just going to call Mark 10 foot tall and bulletproof. So shoot him a question. You can't miss him. If you have anything that you'd like for us to hit on today, I mean, we have the resources here.
And don't forget, you guys can call into the show now too at 210-538-8377. So keep that in mind. So where were we at? I got off track again. Myself.
Program. There are more millennials purchasing homes.
There are, I'm excited about that. I think the Gen Xers were not as, let's go buy a home quite as quickly as the previous generations. But millennials, and I'm very hopeful for our future because I see that they're extremely intelligent. And they're home buyers. They are, and they think they have a mind of their own. They're not mass think. Like a lot of people, if everybody turns left, I'll just turn left. But I've seen millennials have a mind of their own, and they are home buyers.
I've sold so many homes in the last couple of years to people that are under 21 years old, and it has blown my mind.
And I'm shocked.
Yeah, I was jealous a little bit too.
There are,
and
21, 22-year-olds with great credit.
Yeah.
They have money in the bank. And you're like, no, I've saved it.
I'm like, what did I miss when I was going on?
They didn't get the memo.
What's funny is that's one of those sayings I saw. There's a meme everywhere, and I want to throw this out here by the way, guys. You guys can see a lot less memes from me in the future. I know they inspire people on social media, and I'm gonna hopefully inspire you guys right now. Stop making memes and start making millions. People are gonna see what you do. But nevertheless, back on ADD. Good night. I tell you what.
Something shiny
I got
goes
you.
by.
I got the bit. So millennials. Get back to it.
There's some
Programs.
There's programs. Come on, really back. Come on, Patric.
It was gonna be fire too.
All right, so feel free to interject at any given
It'll
time.
come back. It always
So
does.
speaking of the millennials, speaking of the clientele that we see purchasing a home, what are some of those new programs available, or what are the programs available for those that are looking
Don't make me lose it. I got it now.
to buy a home in 2000?
Stop
19.
buying your kids things that you never had and start teaching them things you never knew.
Ooh,
That's what it was.
Should we just end the show?
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Show's over.
It's all along the way.
Anyhow, back to the show.
What programs?
The Okay, so the same programs have always been around.
Mhm.
FHA, VA, USDA, conventional.
But some people really do not know. They're kind of ignorant to the fact as far as what's available to them. We've heard closing cost assistance. We've heard
there are a ton
Yeah.
of things. There are a plethora of down. I love that word.
Plethora.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
There are a plethora of down payment assistance programs out there, and there's bonds, and some of them are great, and some of them are not so great. And a lot of people think it's free money. It's not.
Mhm.
You know, at Guild Mortgage, which is who I work for, that we have every down payment assistance program known to man. And I really believe used responsibly, they're phenomenal. You know, for those people who truly cannot afford the down payment. I mean, here's the thing: it's not free money. People think it's free money. You're going to pay for it. You're going to have a higher interest rate, and a lot of them have a recapture tax. So if you sell the home in the first 7 to 10 years, you got to pay it back or pay a portion of it back.
Yep.
But for the person who can truly not afford a down payment, they should absolutely do that, because it is a phenomenal way to achieve home ownership if you can. So, but there's FHA, there's VA, there's conventional, there's USDA, which is, most people really don't know about it. And it's like a VA loan for civilians. I love this program. There's a couple of caveats. You can't make too much money, and it's normally like around $74,000.
And there's like 2 areas that qualify.
Well, no, actually.
So my area, my community actually qualifies for USDA. However, considering a Perry Homes price point, those that clientele actually tends to make too much to qualify for it.
Normally, so they're also, it's per county, right?
Right.
So like I did a USDA loan for a couple who made like $130,000.
Really?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I mean, they had like 6 kids.
Yeah.
That's the other how many family members you have.
So when you if you have a certain amount of children for every child, the limit goes up, and it's a phenomenal program because the mortgage insurance is really low, and there's 0 down payment. So it's a great program for somebody who either doesn't make too much money and is also willing to live typically outside the 1604.
Yeah. Interest rates, are they pretty comparable to like a VA?
For USDA,
like
I honestly, I think most of the time for programs, the people who's going to get the best rate, like I did one yesterday, is 4.5 on a 30-year fixed, right? Which is smoking low today.
Right now,
But look, this couple has an 800 credit score, right? And they're putting 20% down, and they're doing a conventional loan. But normally, I think your rates are mostly tied to what people's credit score is, and there's very little other to the. For the most part, I don't think FHA, VA, USD, they're all going to be about the same, depending on what your credit score is. And again, today, 5.25, 5.25 is a good rate today in today's market.
Now, you just said something. It's something we were actually talking about pre-show, and it's just I have to have a mortgage lender say this to the general public, to all y'all watching, at home or wherever you're.
I'll say that.
So listen, interest rate, credit score. I've got clients that are like, well, a score's, it's a 640, it's a 650. I'm going to wait till it's about 780 and stuff like that so that way I can get a better interest rate.
Huge mistake.
Thank you.
Several things. First, we have seen a slight pullback in property values, right, and sales prices since October, right? And we've seen rates actually have pulled back just a hair since October because of the economy. We saw a slowdown in the economy.
Right.
You kind of touched on at the beginning, our Congress and the President of the United States can't figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
So we've had a little bit of issues. So we've seen a slight pullback. And today is the best time to go out and buy a home. Plus, the IRS, nobody's doing tax returns. So a lot of people sitting at home waiting for that income tax check.
Yes.
There are a lot of bargains out there in the real estate market today. But I'll tell you, my phone has been ringing off the hook since January the 2nd.
Oh, yeah.
So the wall is coming.
I just filed my tax. Yeah, that big tidal wave of tax.
Tidal wave, there's going to be a ton of business. Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Which, by the way, guys, for y'all that are thinking about buying a home, selling a home, definitely now is the time of year. Oftentimes people are told, let's wait till the summer because that's when it's hot. It is hot. It's like 100 degrees. However, what's really going on, though, is that if you want to get the highest possible price as a seller or even as a buyer right now to be able to jump in, now is the time to go ahead and get it done because things are a little bit slower historically. And much like you were just saying, it's gonna help. It's gonna help with sales all around.
Yeah, but as far as the rate and credit score. I honestly believe the Fed has been raising the overnight Fed funds rate at a very quick pace, and we're going to have 2 more raises. Apparently, is what they're talking about in 2019. And of course, it's going to be determined on what the economy is doing. They should buy today.
Please don't buy a gold chain.
If they don't go buy a car. If they have a 640 FICO score, jump. The water is fine. Don't wait because the rate. You could wake up tomorrow and the rate could be 7%.
Start investing in yourself today. I mean,
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, because especially renters. We were talking about VA loans earlier. I've got a lot of VA clients where they're like, "Oh, I moved here. I'm gonna rent for about a year until I find where I
throw
wanna
your
live."
money away for
I'm like,
a year.
you can move into a house as a vet with no money down, no.
And with San Antonio's appreciation, they can move into it in a year because a lot of them are like, "Well, I may only be there 2 years."
Exactly.
Well, but in 2 years you can live somewhere and probably still turn a profit.
Exactly.
Also, let's take the profit out of it in its immediacy. Why are we not educating our vets on buying a home and then they PCS to another duty station and then they refinance that loan into a conventional or whatever they need to do, and then they can buy another home. Next thing you know,
they should buy at every duty station. What a great retirement plan.
Then you rent out to another military member.
More people have made more money by mistake in real estate than anywhere else on purpose.
Accidental investors.
The answer is always buy.
I think I know of one that I know in each duty station has purchased a home, and he's recently sold all of those homes. I think he had maybe 6 properties, and he recently sold all those off. With the exception of one, he turned one into a rental property, and then the other, obviously, this is his primary residence. So it's a smart plan.
And listen, if you throw in an extra mortgage payment, since somebody else is paying your mortgage anyway, add it every single year, you start to accrue 6, 7, 8 properties. The cool part about that is when you refi it to like a 15-year loan or note or whatever makes more sense when you talk to the experts about it, you're going to find that that's paid off. And the neatest part of that, for instance, I met an 83-year-old man at a listing appointment who coincidentally had 83 properties that he had just purchased. He was a CPA. He retired because when he hit that, they were paid off. That was just income. So he was making about $380,000 a year. And want to know what his sole job was? Y'all want to know what his sole job was?
Cash the checks.
Okay. Word. No, so he had 2 jobs then. In between cash and checks, he was just mowing the yards and doing the maintenance himself on those homes. So this guy could also outlift me, outsprint me, out everything.
Good way to stay young.
And then when he sold off his properties as a package, even as a portfolio, taking a little bit of a drop, he got about $6 or so million from all of his properties.
He just lives on a beach.
Spent maybe $100,000 or something on maintenance costs and down payments on each of those homes over time. Turned it into $6 million by just sitting there mowing yards for several years. That's amazing.
Most people don't realize you can buy a house. Look, if you take care of your credit, you can buy a house every year, right? So the first one you can buy FHA, live there, and then in a year, you can come back and buy another one, conventional, 5% down. Yep. Come back another one, 5% down. Because if you buy investment properties, you got to put 20% down. But if you're willing to move you and your family every single year, you can buy a new home every year.
Every year.
Why not?
People don't know that. Yep. Now, let me ask you this, Mark, because you're the expert, and this is just
I'm not about expert. You honor me.
You're too kind. You're too kind. No, I've got another train of thought lost.
Come on, man. What I got to do?
Did I have coffee this morning? Did I have coffee?
Did you have enough coffee this morning?
That's the better question. That's the better question. I had a good question too. These fire questions that just keep disappearing are just I'm not gonna try. I'm not. There is no.
So, Mark, to our viewers listening, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of realtors that's listening. On-sites are listening as well.
Everybody.
Should a guest, client, get mad at you? Because we see this a lot. We just talked about it before the show.
Nobody should ever get mad at you.
Getting mad at you as their lender. Right? Because you're the one that is going for the credentials that we all feel like is very private, near and dear to our hearts. Explain to the clients that are looking, possibly listening right now, why they should not get mad at you when you ask for certain documents and things of that nature. Because it happens a lot.
So buying a home is a very long and intrusive prospect.
Well,
it's a lot, and it's a lot of paper. When I first got into the mortgage industry, I think there were 17 pages in our disclosure package. Today, on an FHA loan, there's like 50. Right?
Yeah.
And you know what most people don't realize is when the government took over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they literally took over the entire industry. So now the government has something to do with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then with CFPB and the ability to repay, we have to look at every loan frontwards and backwards and sideways and make sense. So really the requirements are mandated by the government. They should certainly not get mad at their mortgage person, their on-site rep or their realtor. They're asking for all this paperwork partly to protect the bank, but also to protect them, to make sure that there's no fraud involved and that they can truly afford the payment.
Yes, that's the one I love. We're talking about the old days of the Wild West and proving anybody.
Oh yeah, nobody cared.
Yeah,
You make how much? Okay, we pull their credit and you were approved.
And then you lose your house, and then you lose everything.
And now there is so much protection afforded to everybody who wants to. I tell clients it's almost impossible to get taken advantage of now when you're buying a home.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many different stop checks put into place to protect a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things is all that documentation to make sure that there is no way, shape, or form that they're getting into a home that they can't afford.
Right.
We have to look at debt ratios and income, and there's a lot involved in that.
And that's something that I find interesting. And so realtors out there, lenders out there, sales counselors out there, everybody out there, it's called setting expectations. And so what I find myself telling all of my clients at the very beginning,
setting realistic expectations.
Exactly. I'm like, listen, at the very end, near the end, and sometimes all the way through, they're asking you for ridiculous stuff sometimes. Like, why did you transfer $27 from savings to checking on the 17th of February? And you're like, listen, just write them a letter of explanation. Explain it because you can. You needed $27.
But you should be able to explain.
Yeah, you can do that, and that's all it is. So do keep that in mind. They're going to ask you for things seemingly ridiculous at that point, and yet it's because they are trying to protect you. They want to make sure. They want to know why you did that. Like, why did you need to transfer $30? Why didn't you have it, or whatever the case may be? They're just looking for a letter of explanation. Don't freak out. The loan's going to close. We're good. They just want to know what's up.
The reason I ask that because there's a lot of new realtors in San Antonio, a lot of new on-sites that they're getting hit with these questions. Oh man, why is it they're asking me so many questions? Why are they being so intrusive? Why are they needing so many things? And they don't know how to respond to that. And so the reason I asked that question to you was to kind of enlighten on the reasons why, right? They don't know how to articulate. Well, I'm not going to say that because they don't have the information behind them as far as how to explain, well, it's not me, it's
Can I give you a quick, easy one? This is my favorite one. What happens when you get a loan from a loan shark and you don't repay it?
They break your legs.
They break your legs. So who would you rather talk to?
If you're lucky, they break your legs.
Exactly. So think about that. So you're asking somebody that
I'd
doesn't
rather
know
talk
you.
to your loan officer than
They don't-
the loan
They
shark.
don't technically know you from Adam, and they're going to give you $300, $400, $200. They're going to give you a whole lot of money. These guys are over $5,000. So yeah, they want to know a couple things about you. Geez,
Well, and I think the thing to remember here is when people are buying a home, I mean, honestly and truly, other than getting married and having kids, it's the biggest thing that most people will ever do in their life. And most people are truly afraid.
Mm-hmm.
They really are, right? I mean, they don't do this every day, and we do, and sometimes we stop and forget to realize that.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're afraid, and one of those things is, well, why are they asking for so much stuff? Did I do something wrong? And so you're right, Patrick, setting those expectations up front. I tell them, hey, we're going to ask for a ton of paperwork, and sometimes we may ask for it twice.
Yeah.
And when you set those expectations up front, it makes for a much smoother and happier process.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're good. Just
Over communicate.
Over communicate.
There's no such thing as over communicate.
Biggest
So they have an
complaint
overstanding.
in both the mortgage and the real estate community is lack of communication.
Exactly.
Overstanding.
Overstanding. Yeah.
I like that
Overstanding.
a lot. So we've got about a minute left on the show today.
Okay.
I mean, if I can do my math right, just subtract, carry the one. Yeah. And so what, in closing, Mark, do you think is the most important thing in terms of a client coming in that's not qualified for their credit score to get their credit fixed? Yesterday, we had a credit repair specialist on the show. Today, we've got the lender on the show. And I've told Chad and everybody at home, I now believe more in credit repair than I did before, and yet I've also found that a great lender can tell somebody what to pay off, what not to pay off, what to look at, what not to look
Yeah,
at.
I find a lot of people that come to me who, maybe they have a little bit of gains and a little uncertainty, and we can literally sit there and work on it. And we have so many tools available to us. If the credit's really, really bad, they may need to go into credit repair.
Yeah.
But what I tell people is when in doubt, apply for a mortgage, because you don't go down and try to treat yourself if you cut off your finger. Go to the doctor.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if they apply for a mortgage, we can generally guide them in the right direction. And if they do need that extra help and they need to go into credit repair, we can help them get there.
And I hit on it kind of last Monday where I said lenders generally have a tool, credit analyzers.
Yes.
So they stick the information or they input the information into their system, and it kind of spits back out that game plan that we talked about.
DU, I believe
DU.
it's called. I'm not a lender.
No, he's talking about credit
credit
analyzation tool.
Right.
So even somebody who comes in and says maybe they have a 663 FICO score, we can run it through there, and it will tell them how to get to a 700. Or
Wow.
By paying down this.
Most people are not aware that credit cards are 33% of your score, and they try to pay them off or pay them to zero.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a huge mistake.
Big mistake.
Right.
Yep. That's a big mistake. And that was my closing question.
Yep. But with that said, how do people get in touch with you, Mark? Do you have Facebook? Do you have email? Phone?
Yeah, I have Facebook.
Okay.
I'm old fashioned. I actually do have a phone, and I answer it.
He's
and
got a rotary phone.
I do.
Ladies and gentlemen.
No, but I'm old. I'm not supposed to be able to text, so they can text me as well.
Meanwhile, he has figured out how to go live right
I didn't
now.
know how to do that. So hi, everybody. My cell phone number is 210-421-3479.
Awesome.
My office number is 210-692-7500. If you haven't used me for a mortgage, or if you need help, if you have questions, I'm always available. I'd love to talk to you.
And what's the best email address to reach you at?
Mark, MARK.Harris at Guild, Guild mortgage.net, guildmortgage.net.
Awesome. And thanks for coming on the show.
I've really enjoyed it. I really have. It's a lot of fun. I took Chad asked me if I would. I said, I saw y'all show. I said, as long as I got to dance, I'm good.
And with that said, it's time for the dance segment of our show.
Yeah. I'll sit here and watch.
No, really. So really, thanks for coming on the show. We look forward to having you in the future too.
I'd love to come
as the industry changes, which we know it does. Sort of.
kind of daily.
It changes and stays the same every day. So yeah, we'd love to have you back on the show. Appreciate that.
Love to come.
And I'd love to have you on and come talk about your coaching side of things as well.
I would be honored.
Coaching isn't back and forth and have a whole conversation that nobody understands.
I would love to do it.
You'll
You'll take a nap, Chad.
No, it's all about inspiration and motivation. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, gals, girls, well, that's the same thing. You get the gist of it. Everybody out there, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to grow this, and I wanted to leave one little tidbit with you guys just because my job in life, my God-given purpose is to inspire others, whether it be in real estate or in any element of their life. I want you guys to keep this in mind. Failure does not define you. It's not who you are. Failure does not define you. It refines you. So take a moment, let that look permeate a little bit, and then go through your day thinking about that. So as you fail, learn from your mistakes. Don't become your mistakes, and grow where you go. Boom. Amen.
As we sign off, we want to give a shout out to, again, Detail Did It.
At Detail Did It. At Detail Did It Podcast. At South Crown Barbers. At P. Hammonds 210. At Luxury New Home SATX.
He got it.
Boom, I did it. And Mark, do you have a Twitter handle or an Instagram handle?
I just figured out how to use Facebook. I ain't doing Twitter and Instagram. No, I don't.
He's like, the only at symbol I got is at my email address. Well, guys, you guys know the sign off, and we're gonna have Chad's doing the sign off.
All right. All right. Aloha, mahalo,
And everything in between. Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Boom.
And that was my first live thing. I did it for like an hour. That's insane, man.